A legal battle over a marina expansion on Block Island takes an unexpected turn after playing out for nearly 2 decades, and many out here thinking it was over. Champlin's Marina is nearly deserted this time of year, but it won't be long before the popular destination on the Great Salt Pond, known to many boaters as New Harbor, looks like this. Nearly 18 years ago, the owners of Champlin's proposed doubling the size of the pier and adding space for 140 additional boats to the 250 already allowed. Claire Costello is a co-founder of the nonprofit group the Committee for the Great Salt Pond, formed in 1987 to fight development around the 600-plus acre body of water.
Private taking of public land for profit, 4 acres, jutting into our prized natural resource, which incidentally is also an enormous economic resource for the town. It would interfere with navigation channels. It would displace public moorings.
After dozens of hearings over 2 years, the proposal was rejected by the state's Coastal Resources Management Council on a 5-5 tie of the full council, after a subcommittee on a 3-1 vote had recommended a scaled-down version. Since then, the case has worked its way up and down the state's legal system, and last fall wound up in the Rhode Island Supreme Court on another appeal by Champlin's.
This has come back after the initial CRMC denial, which is in 2006. It's come back 6 times since then. It's like some kind of B-rated zombie movie. It keeps coming back.
Henry DuPont is a director for the Committee for the Great Salt Pond. His group, along with the Block Island Land Trust and Block Island Conservancy, have raised more than $500,000 to fight the proposal. They are joined in their effort by the town of New Shoreham. DuPont said the opponents felt confident after a Superior Court judge issued a 56-page ruling that was nearly 7 years in the making, rejecting Champlin's proposal again. And the groups thought it was over.
And at each juncture, the CRMC and the court have said, we hear you and you're correct, and the proposal is denied.
Despite that, Champlin's appealed again, and the Supreme Court last fall agreed to hear the case. Since the High Court only takes about 20% of the cases it receives on appeal, Champlin's lawyer Robert Goldberg said the court must have seen something that concerned the justices enough to hear an appeal. CRMC's lawyer Anthony DeSisto tells the Hummel report that the agency factored in the case possibly being overturned in the Supreme Court as one of the reasons to seek mediation. So DeSisto reached out to Block Island's town solicitor Kathy Marola in late November, saying CRMC voted to go into mediation, but only if New Shoreham, and by extension the opposing environmental groups, agreed to participate.
It boggles the mind, I would say.
Andre Boudreau is New Shoreham's first warden, the island's top elected official.
CRMC's own attorney sent our attorney a memo, an email, basically saying that the CRMC would not enter into any mediation with Champlin's Realty unless the town signed on to mediation also.
The mediation, which was strictly voluntary, would be handled by retired Supreme Court Chief Justice Frank Williams. The opponents were unanimous in their rejection of going to mediation.
We specifically declined to mediate because there's nothing to mediate. Here we are defending a Superior Court decision which is 72 pages long with over 100 points of law and fact that we can support.
Despite that, CRMC went ahead anyway, meeting with Champlin's longtime attorney Goldberg and Williams without telling the opponents, and reaching a settlement for a scaled-down version of Champlin's original plan.
It was a joint motion that they had been to mediation, they had reached a settlement, and that the proposed 2/3 size marina was being proposed to the Supreme Court as a settlement. In our view, That's unacceptable because when you go to mediation, all parties have to agree.
It was approved by the full CRMC at a meeting between Christmas and New Year's with no notification to the opponents that the vote was even happening. Williams joined in on the Zoom call to answer any questions.
I'm very eager to better understand, because we don't know a lot of the details, but to understand how a retired judge could deem it appropriate to hold negotiations with the majority of the parties not in the room. And furthermore, how the CRMC could reach a decision that counters its best judgment on numerous previous occasions.
We've always been impressed with CRMC staff, and they've done a great job, and especially when they develop the reports for these projects and exactly what the impacts are vis-a-vis the Red Book, they've done a great job. But from time to time, as the CRMC board, the commissioners have changed, there's always been a political component in there, and there have been times when they had a pro-development stance and actually overruled their staff on a number of decisions. The
initial reaction is, here we go again. With the shenanigans upstate, in Rhode Island, everybody knows what kind of state we live in, and some people have pulls, some people, just get the shaft. And my initial reaction was, here we go again. We're gonna, we're on our way to getting the shaft again.
Williams defended the mediation, saying the opponents gave up their seat at the table, adding he was disappointed they did not participate. Goldberg said he believes the settlement ends the case with no further review by the Supreme Court. The opponents say, not so fast.
We don't mind if they want to reapply for this new marina that they're proposing, because then we get to go and bring the experts in and demonstrate that it doesn't meet the CRMC's own criteria for the granting of an expansion of the marina. And that's what we've won on in the past.
I would implore other organizations in the state, like Save the Bay, Rhode Islanders for Coastal Access, all of these groups should be paying very, very good attention to this, because what happens here will affect them in the future. I mean, this is the CRMC, and they decide coastal development. And if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere else in the state.
What's your message for the Supreme Court as they look at this case?
To review the excellent decision of the Superior Court, which clearly states that the original CRMC decision to deny Champlin's the marina expansion was a good decision and is valid with regard to the law and the facts and evidence.
And I think the whole community is exhausted, and this last maneuver really gave us whiplash, but it also galvanized us anew.
Our resolve on this is strong. We will continue to fight this until there isn't anything to fight anymore.
On Block Island, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Report.